All right. Welcome, everyone, to the That Was a Show 2021 Year in Review. We are going to go through a bunch of questions, kind of like a quiz show, where all three of us are going to pick our favorite shows or characters in various categories and then debate them vigorously.
Oh boy.
We grew up during peak sitcom, Seinfeld, Friends, The Fresh Prince, but those shows were diamonds in the rough. This podcast is not about those diamonds. It's about the rough. Some sitcoms were briefly popular in their time. Some were canceled almost immediately. You probably won't recognize most of these, and you'll ask, that was a show?
That was a show?
The podcast about failed or forgotten sitcoms from the 80s and 90s, starring
Brynn Burney,
Aaron Yeager,
And Andrew Helmer as Barry.
a Radio Gizmo production.
All right, so how this is going to work is I'm going to read out the category, and then I'll let each of you give your selections first, and then I'll jump in with my selection, and then we discuss. So this will be 20 questions in, I don't know, hopefully about 20 minutes, kind of like a sitcom episode. Okay, number one, favorite show that you would actually want to watch more of?
I mean, maybe not favorite show, but I would watch more Teddy Z or Camp Wilder.
So I actually said the John Larroquette show.
All right, I also said the John Larroquette show. Question number two, favorite show to talk about. So this isn't a show that you necessarily liked. This is just a show that you found a lot of fun in our conversation.
Ooh, maybe Everything's Relative, just because we got to talk about Arrested Development a lot.
So Everything's Relative 99.
Sure, if you say so.
I think my favorite to talk about was one that I was excited to bring to the show, which was Jennifer Slept Here. Just because it was so weird and so campy and has just such an odd legacy. So she is the most beautiful ghost in the world. It's undeniable. So I don't know. I had fun in that episode. I had fun in all of the episodes, but that one was a doozy for me.
Yeah. For me, this is a very recent one, the most recent one. I went with Good Advice, and that was because of the Estelle Harris factor.
Good point.
That was fun to talk about. Category number 3, your least favorite character.
Rachel Gunn RN.
That was fast. No hesitation.
I think she's one of the most unlikable protagonists I've ever seen in anything.
That's a fair assessment. I went with Julian Beebe from Everything's Relative 89?
Yeah. Good selection. Good selection.
He was just too much of a wiener and not worthy of Jason Alexander.
Yeah. Now, I went with a real deep cut one, okay? I went with Edwina Nutt from The Nut House.
Oh, okay.
Oh, The Nut House, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cloris Leachman, great. The Edwina Nutt character, ooh.
Cringy.
Yeah.
Was that the ghost?
Yeah.
That was like the old lady.
She was just an old lady.
She was just impossibly old.
Yeah,
she was in a lot of powder makeup.
Right.
Yeah. Category number 4, favorite set design.
Ooh. I really liked the big loft that Jason Alexander's character had in Everything's Relative 1989.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So I feel like anyone who does listen to this show faithfully knows how much I raved about the aesthetics in Sibs. So I'm going to have to go with Sibs, with the exception of the random smatterings of that what I called camping green, appliances
right, that
and tabletop.
Green.
Yeah, I did not like that. I did not care for that. But everything else on that show, I quite enjoyed.
Very fair.
The aesthetics of.
I went with the John Larroquette show bus station for favorite set. Yeah,
that's a good one.
I went very literal with that one, like just straight up like the most effective set. Not one that was like funny to talk about, but just, yeah, that's a good effective set. Category number 5, least favorite set or wardrobe. Basically anything in the production design or visualization of the show.
Everything about Saved by the Bell, the college years. Starting with Bob Gelic's haircut.
Oh, yeah, that was rough. That haircut was rough. I did like the girls' fashion in it, though. Okay, so it's funny that Barry said that the loft apartment was his, from Everything's Relative 89, was his favorite because it was my least favorite. I could not get over those stupid columns, those like Roman columns, and how it was an impossibly large set. I did not care for the other sets. I did not care for the high-waisted pants that they kept insisting
the high-waisted pants
on putting on poor Jason Alexander. So the fact that you lumped costumes and set design together, I was like, oh, it's got to be Everything's Relative 89. So
you're getting into a real green eggs and ham thing there.
Yeah. I also went with Everything's Relative with Jason Alexander. Sorry to say, are you kidding me? That loft apartment, the size of it was like a Broadway stage. And then, but I would say,
I just love lofts.
Yeah, I guess
lofts.
aspirationally
it's
cool.
aspirational.
But I liked the loft.
I hated the show.
I liked the loft from Sibs better because it was cooler.
But the thing that tipped me over the edge with Everything's Relative 89 was that weird science labby place where he worked.
Yeah, that was
with all of the like dials and lights on the wall that seemed like some sort of sketch comedy joke set. Like it didn't seem like it was even trying to be real. Category 6, favorite newly discovered or identified trope.
I don't know if it really counts, but robot child.
I mean, I'm sure it counts. I mean, if one show is like emblematic of like one trope, of that era, I think it counts. Just piggybacking on what you had to say there, the abhorrent admirer is my favorite, which also was in Small Wonder, as we saw with neighbor Harriet. And we saw it pop up multiple times. Like I think they mentioned that in the Nut House as well, with Miss Frick as being an abhorrent admirer. I just like love that like expression. It's like pretty funny. It's annoying that in this case it's usually referring to women, like female characters that are just so disgusting to the people who they admire for some reason.
Yeah, and they're usually disgusting because of like a bowl haircut or glasses.
Yeah.
Like some really superficial detail.
Yeah.
In Boy Meets World, Topanga is an abhorrent admirer.
She is at first.
Yeah.
And then they totally like, they scale back all of her weirdness, which I have to say is what I liked about Topanga. I objected.
She gradually grows out of it. It falls away over the years.
No, I feel like as like we saw her in, once she started becoming like a regular and they realized, oh, she's fully going to be the love of his life. They were like, let's strip back all of her weirdness and make her your standard goody two shoes girl next door who's like,
no, they start kissing when she's still super weird.
They did. But then as soon as they were like, oh no, they're going to be serious. It's not just like a passing, Anyway,
I'm shaking my head at all of this.
I have problems with the Topanga trajectory.
All of this Boy Meets World talk.
Yeah.
My pick for trope was workplace weirdo, maybe because Good Advice was still very much in my head from that conversation, but also just because I was very excited that we put a name to that type of situation.
That was a fun discovery.
Yeah, because we'd seen characters like that for the entire duration of this podcast, and we'd never really put a name to it. Well, that was great.
And not even just shows that we covered for the podcast. Like it kind of came up a couple of times. We're like, oh, well, what about what's his name from News Radio?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Next category, number 7, biggest legit laugh. Something where you laughed because you thought what was happening in the show was funny, not laughing at it because it was bad.
I really like the Golden Girls musical and the John Larroquette show.
Yeah. I put down the exact same answer. I just wrote that entire episode because it was like incredible. It's the the episode called what's it called? Oh, it's called Here We Go Again. Yeah. So the episode where it's not only a Golden Girls musical, but it's that entire parody of Sunset Boulevard. It's just gold.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I was like ha-haing, like LOLing out loud, but I definitely was laughing a lot. It was the funniest show that we've seen.
Yeah, that was authentically clever, and that was my runner-up. I almost chose that. Maybe I should have, because then all three of us would have had a complete shutout on that one. But I went with It's Your Move, The Dregs of Humanity, Part 2.
Oh, yeah.
The long, drawn-out conversation between Matthew Burton, played by Jason Bateman, and Norman Lamb, played by David Garrison, where they mutually realize that in their efforts to undermine each other, they're both in far too deep and need to work together to get out of this situation they've created. And there's just these long, thoughtful pauses with total silence and then little glances and little nonchalant quips.
And it's brilliant acting.
Yeah, it was really good performance.
Great comedic acting.
Yeah, both of them were just like nailing the delivery of that scene.
Yeah.
And it's not like one line, it's minutes of just perfectly drawn out, like in one sort of staging.
Yeah, that episode, that is like just a great episode of television. And that was, I would say, maybe my runner-up for this question. And I feel like there were like actual like beats, like comedy beats in other episodes that did make me laugh, but I just can't pull them out. I was like having a tough time pulling them out. Obviously, they weren't that amazing because they really would have stuck with me. So.
Category number 8, a show that exceeded your expectations.
I mean, being that I had none, the John Larroquette Show again. Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, and I generally agree, but I just, for this question, I just put a different one because I wanted to give some love to It's Your Move, basically because of the Dregs of Humanity episode. So I would say because of that episode, It's Your Move exceeded my expectations.
It was a two-parter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a two-parter.
Yeah. What a perfect segue as well. And of course, I had to put the John Larroquette Show because I specifically had such drastically low expectations for that show that the fact that I enjoyed it automatically made it exceed my expectations by a vast margin. Category number 9, favorite Matt LeBlanc failed Married with Children spinoff.
I mean, I was trying to like pit them against each other in my brain, and I guess, Vinny and Bobby, I feel like I remember Mr. Fluffy having a bigger part in that.
Top of the heap in my, based on what I kind of quickly refreshed myself on, was the one with more cat.
Yeah, I also put top of the heap because of the larger platform for Mr. Fluffy.
Okay, so then I was wrong.
But I think overall the concept for top of the heap was better. It's still terrible and problematic, but it was better, I think.
On paper as a premise, I think it was better.
I think I naturally steered away from it from my natural disdain of Married with Children. So that one has more in common with it.
Right. You're right.
Category number 10, most relative everything. So to explain, that's your favorite show called Everything's Relative.
Oh, I liked Everything's Relative.
Ah, which one?
That's the joke.
Ah.
Because you just ask which Everything's Relative did you like? And the one that I liked is called Everything's Relative. What do you want from me?
I mean, I went with the 1999 version just because. And yeah, I know you guys weren't fans, but there were glimmers of the Mitch Hurwitz that we came to know later on as a writer of Arrested Development. And I still stand by the Phoenix joke. I actually like the Phoenix joke. So I will say of the two, if I have to pick between the two, I will go with 99.
And I went with the 80s Everything's Relative with Jason Alexander. I don't have a good reason for that. I think just my instinct was that one was more fun for me to deconstruct and try to understand what they were trying to do. I didn't enjoy it more than the other show. I wouldn't say that it's better. It was just the one that I enjoyed talking about more.
And now you guys will never know which one I meant.
Yeah. He's going to take it to his grave.
To the grave.
Blimey.
We'll be like in our 80s and we're like, Barry, just tell us which one you meant.
That was a show?
We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, honey, why haven't you eaten your toast?
I don't know. I guess I'm just sick of this regular, boring peanut butter.
Well, maybe it's time we make our meals an adventure.
Whoa, what's this? Wonder nut butter?
Try it.
Wow, it's good. It's spiced, but not spicy.
You're such a witty and precocious child.
Spread the world with Wander Nut Butter's internationally inspired flavors. It's made with only peanuts, spices, and salt, and no added sugar. Try every flavor of Wander Nut Butters today.
I don't know. That kid sounded a little old.
Really? I thought it was pretty good casting.
That commercial failed to mention that Wander is based right here in Toronto, Canada.
Or that you can eat Wonder Nut Butters as a healthy snack, like, adding it to a smoothie.
Also, there are 3 flavors available, inspired by spices from India, Morocco, or Thailand.
I really liked the Moroccan peanut butter on toast with apricot or peach jam.
I've tried Wander. It's delicious. It looked so enticing. These ads really work.
You can even cook with it, like if you're making a soup or a sauce.
We've been talking a really long time about this commercial.
Yeah, wait, is this meta? Are we part of a commercial? Is Wander a sponsor if that was a show?
All I know is that our listeners can get a 15% discount when they order Wander Nut Butters online at tastewander.com/twas. That's taste, WANDER.com/TWAS and use the coupon code TWAS15 at checkout. And you can follow them at taste.wander on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
What are you reading from? Where is that? You didn't answer any of my questions.
Category 11, weirdest plotline.
Everything Small Wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I got more specific with it. I said the weird vaudeville episode where she teams up with the performing grifter that
I forgot about that.
Who
Is
trolls high school talent or grade school talent
and they
shows.
perform in the grade school talent show, and there's actual agents that show up.
Yeah.
And Vicky is able to become this weird part of this performing duo that makes no sense in contemporary 1980s culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
But the 78-year-old on the writing staff just had to write it.
Exactly. So
I forgot about that, and maybe that would have been my pick if I remembered it, but I'm going to commit to what I wrote down, which was episode 4 of Jennifer Slept Here. That was the Debbie Reynolds cameo episode where she
that
plays
was a good one.
the ghost of Jennifer's mother who arrives via seance, and they have to resolve their falling out from the past. And meanwhile, Jennifer helps an adolescent Joey impress twin girls. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah, that was a good one, Aaron.
Oh yeah, and he switches.
I mean, yeah, anything from Jennifer Slept Here, but because it was such a weird show, it's obvious.
Yeah, the baseline for that show was weird.
Yeah.
Category 12, favorite on-screen romance.
Ugh, pass.
I went with Pearl Coraldo and Dean Martin, played by Rhea Perlman and her then, I guess they're still married, and Danny DeVito.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Really good choice.
It was hot.
Yeah, it's good. That is a good choice. He's really funny in that episode.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide. I have 2 picks here. It's either Zach and Kelly in Saved by the Bell, the college years. That's more for the impact of this on-screen romance in the full scope of television in terms of the zeitgeist. It's the biggest one.
They're still an on-screen couple today.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah, they're still ruining California together.
Yeah. But the other pick I had as a sillier one would be Warren and Sally Pfeffer in Sibs.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, my runner-up, my next choice was going to be Chris Peterson and his pen pal, Irma.
What was that from again?
Get a Life. When he had the pen pal that was an inmate, and then they reunited, and she held him hostage.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
But I will say Pearl and her brief romance with the dean of the university. Like that's my favorite.
Category 13, hunkiest deadbeat.
Oh, I went with Treat Williams from Good Advice. He's very hunky.
I thought you guys would say that, so I was like, I'm gonna let them talk. He is a hunk, but I was like, is he a deadbeat? Because he is a deadbeat.
The show thinks he is.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So in that context, he is a deadbeat. But I wanted to go with like the traditional deadbeat, so I went with Vinny Verducci.
You know what?
Nothing wrong with that.
You know what?
Nothing wrong with that.
I also went with Matt LeBlanc as Vinny Verducci in Vinny and Bobby.
Like he's got to rock a tank top at some point, you know.
He and that's why I remember going with Vinny and Bobby, because he's much more likable in Vinny and Bobby.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's where they started sanding off his edges.
Yeah. Matt LeBlanc is more likable, and Vinny Verducci is more of a hunky deadbeat. In that of the two shows.
Yeah, but I agree, Barry. Treat Williams' character is like a hunk, and he is like an emotional deadbeat. And even though he's a successful lawyer,
he
does fit that mold.
And to be fair, I put up for interpretation.
I know you did.
Yeah.
I appreciated that.
So we'll take it. 14, wackiest neighbor or coworker.
Oh, Estelle Harris.
Yes. She was phenomenal. This might be contentious, okay? Because he is the protagonist of an entire series, but I went with Chris Peterson from Get a Life because he's basically the world's wacky neighbor, right? Because we had the theory when we were covering it that he was basically what if Kramer was the lead character?
Yep.
So he's the ultimate wacky neighbor, wacky coworker, wacky everything.
That's a good point. And I did think of that. I went a little more traditional, thinking I wasn't going to choose him because he's the protagonist, but he is totally that character. I went with Lightfield Lewis as Sean in Good Advice.
Yeah.
As just straight up weirdo.
Yeah.
And that's such a weird role.
And in that context of like, this person's going to get 2 or 3 lines of dialogue per episode. They're just going to like drop them in. They have their moment, their wacky moment. And then
they just like walk off screen.
Yeah, then they walk off.
I'll quietly just write him off the show and nobody will ever notice.
Yeah. I mean, that is like a good choice, Aaron. And I think for some reason I hesitated because I was like, oh, we did it so recently. I don't want all my answers to be from that show. So I like didn't pick it.
No, yours is good.
But I see that he was the one. Seeing that character is what sparked us to discover that trope where we're like, oh, or not wacky neighbor, the specific weird guy at work.
Yeah, he's the wacky coworker
He's the wacky
version.
Mm-hmm.
The wacky coworker who's has a very like menial job at the company.
Yeah. Category 15. Fastest channel change. This would be the show that you would turn off the quickest if you were just watching TV one day. It's, I don't know, Saturday afternoon. You're just trying to have something on in the background. This show comes on and you're like, hard no, and change the channel.
Not my department. No question.
Yeah, I should have picked that. Oh my gosh. I mean, in real life, okay, with the exception of some of the weirder shows, like, for example, Jennifer Slept Here and what's it called? Small Wonder, that have some weird camp value and like they have a bit of legend about them, about being weird. If like with the exception of those two, if I saw any of these shows without the context of this podcast, I would probably change the channel. I went with one that I thought had very few redeeming qualities. And I went with Vinny and Bobby. Because I just thought it's not funny. It's really, really sexist. It's like really, I would have probably just like, if I were watching it for 2 minutes, I'd probably instantly change the channel.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Not my department is a good choice for sure.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I stumbled upon that show without any of the context of our podcast, I would also kind of be like, what is this? And I might feel like I
Might
need
have
to.
some weird
I might have to
curiosity.
watch, a few
Yeah.
minutes
Yeah, I'd
just
be
to.
like, what is this television show that has the production values of a workplace sexual harassment video?
Exactly. Like I'd have to spend a few minutes just trying to figure out what's going on here. So I went with the show that I truly found probably the most off-putting this season, which was Small Wonder. Like just unnerving.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, but it also like it's so weird and creepy that it's like I don't know, but I'm intrigued. I'm more intrigued by that than you are, I guess.
That's fair. Category 16, most likely to have been pitched by Mr. Producer.
Oh, I went with college years. I think Mr. Producer likes an easy win.
That's a good choice. Yeah, good point. It would have been the easiest sell.
Yeah, he's not a hardworking man.
Yeah. So, okay, so this you guys might not agree with this. I went with Teddy Z. I don't know if he would like necessarily the inside baseball look at behind the scenes of the inner workings of Hollywood, but I think he does have a self-deprecating humor, and I think he does think of the work of Hollywood as being like very interesting to people. And he loves to talk and name drop about, all of his work in Hollywood. So that's why I said that. But I also think he would be very instrumental in the retooling of Camp Wilder, where she goes to work at the amusement park, and there's like a penguin on the scene. Like I see Mr. Producer's fingerprints all over that.
That's a good answer. Well, I also put the famous Teddy Z to be pitched by Mr. Producer. Similar reasoning. I kind of thought maybe there was a point in his career where he was trying to sell a show that was of his own conception for the first time. And he's like, they say, write what you know. And it's just something pulled from the world of his life. And maybe he likes the idea that Teddy Z is like the scrappy underdog within that world.
I think you guys have way more respect for Mr. Producer than I do.
Maybe.
Category 17, oddest genre twist. So this would be a show that kind of strays from the normal expectations of a sitcom, either intentionally or unintentionally, to kind of bend the genre rules.
Yeah, so I don't know if I fully understood the assignment, but I put Sports Night. Again, because, of everything we talked about when we talked about Sports Night, how it felt off, that this is supposed to be a sitcom, but they were trying to do it as a single cam, and it felt more like a 1-hour drama. And they were using all of these techniques that we now see in 1-hour dramas, and specifically the ones that Aaron Sorkin himself works on. So, yeah, so that's how I understood this particular question.
Yeah, good interpretation.
Yeah.
I almost put Sports Night for my answer. I'll save my answer for a moment. Barry, do you want to go first?
I'll just jump back on Jennifer Slept here because, there was a ghost. There was a goddamn ghost on a sitcom as a main character. Weird.
Yeah, that would also count as a genre twist. It's melding sitcom and fantasy in a way that's pretty strange. I went with Sibs, the show that we thought was kind of like an off Broadway drama in a black box theater with just a little too much long drawn out dialogue about people's romantic backstories that seemingly have no connection with anything that we can really draw on as something to bring us into this story world. Category 18, most precocious kid.
Well, I went with Vicky from Small Wonder because one day she's going to attain singularity and murder us all.
I also put Vicky the robot, but I was like, okay, if it has to be a human, I'm going to go with Michael DeRugia from Good Advice.
Yeah, the kid in Good Advice, definitely a very classic sitcom precocious kid. Really good at it. Yeah, both of those answers were great. I put Matthew Burton, played by Jason Bateman, in It's Your Move.
Oh, yeah.
I know that it's maybe stretching the definition of kid because he's probably in his mid to late teens, but he's a minor. He's a minor. He's not a
precocious.
He is very precocious.
Yeah, he's not an adult, and he's extremely precocious.
And like the performance of Jason Bateman at that age is so sophisticated in terms of his comedic delivery that it's like he himself is precocious. So it all works well.
True. Because it was like art imitating life or something. And also his performance in that show is recognizable. If you've seen his performance as an adult, you're like, yep, that's Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Category 19, Best Canadian Show.
I'm not even going to submit an entrant to this because I don't think Not My Department deserves to be discussed any further.
I mean, did you literally just create this category so we had to talk about Not My Department?
That's what I did. This was the CanCon question in the list.
Yeah, it's our obligatory CanCon
well,
in this
I won't
case.
play your game, sir.
Yeah, we won't do that.
So naturally, I also put Not My Department.
Oh, really?
But to be honest, I first tried to see if there was a lead actor in one of the shows we talked about this year where the actor is Canadian, so I could kind of stretch one of the other shows we talked about to being Canadian. Because even though I wrote the question, I was like, I don't want to write Not My Department. Category 20, the final question, favorite actor who went on to become a big star.
All right, so mine is, he's a big star to every geek out there, just not to people in this room. Kevin Conroy and Rachel Gunn.
I knew you were going to say that.
He is by far my favorite actor on any of the things we've covered this season. So I'm all about it. For
me, I went for the obvious choice of in Camp Wilder, you not only had Hilary Swank, but you also had Jared Leto as a recurring character. He was in like a few episodes.
Ugh.
So you've got, I know, I'm not saying that I like him. I'm just saying that he is like a big star and it's funny to see in that era, like just like watching someone who becomes a huge movie star, like seeing them in one of these like middle of the road sitcoms is like, it's very interesting. And like Hilary Swank's part, like, there's not much she could really do with that. It was just like a very typical, she's playing like a teenager. She had to come in and say her lines in a way that was charming and like, that's it. And then like, what was it that moved her to the next level after that? Like, it's just interesting. It's very, very, like, I would love to see like any actor who's gone to the point where they've won an Academy Award for a dramatic role. I would love to see them in this kind of thing more. Because it's like, where are the roots? Like, where was that path that you got diverted into serious roles? Like, how did that happen?
It's work. And you know, and you're just seen by somebody and it puts you in a different it puts you in a different room now.
But it's also like there are people who get stuck doing certain roles. So like, how does that happen? Like, how is it the agent? Like, are they more creative or are they willing to like push to put you in the right rooms?
Maybe.
Like, I am curious about that. Like, it's just an interesting little phenomenon to witness.
It is. And I knew that I predicted that one of you would say Hilary Swank. So I didn't choose that for just that reason, that I wanted to find something else because I figured there was a good chance that was going to be on there. I went with Lucy Liu in Pearl.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, she became a big star soon after
Very
that.
soon after.
Yeah.
Similar phenomenon where you're like, okay, wow. So after this, and then your career just took a very different turn.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that could be its own fun podcast. Like, what was like the sitcom that someone did
the role before?
Yeah, the role before. And it's like, yeah, who are the people behind the scenes that are championing them that hard that they're like, oh, yes, they've only done Burger King commercials and sitcoms, but they really should be in the next like Tarantino movie, or they really should be in the next like Clint Eastwood movie, or like, where is that?
Aaron Eckhart was in Aliens in the Family.
Yes. So like, where is that switch?
yeah.
You know, is it like just like a stroke of luck where the agent has an in somewhere and they're like, oh, yeah, I can get your person like a role, like, or like not a role, like to read for Martin Scorsese? Like, what?
Or, I mean, at the end of the day, they were the best in the room then and they're the best in the room when they get the next job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this was a lot of fun talking about all these shows.
Had a lot of laughs.
These were good picks. If you haven't heard some of the episodes that we referenced in this conversation, I highly suggest you go back and listen to those ones because these were very fun conversations and clearly some of the more memorable characters and shows that we've talked about this past year.
It's great catching up with both of you, and I look forward to talking more shit about old sitcoms.
Well, and Happy New Year. And, next time we'll be back with a regular episode. So see ya.
Bye-bye.
And cut to credits. That Was a Show is created and hosted by Brynn Burney, Andrew Barry Helmer, and myself, Aaron Yeager. It's a production of Radio Gizmo in Toronto, Canada. Subscribe, rate, review, and share. Follow us on Instagram and tell your friends about it. That Was a Show?
Radio Gizmo.